Welcome to the Daily Detox Podcast. I'm your man Dion J, and today I have good brother Gordon Andrew Fletcher, Esquire, the Commissioner.
Hey Ward 5, this is Gordon Fletcher, and we're so excited about today. Today's the campaign launch for the Gordon for Ward 5 campaign. Thank you all for making that possible. Let's go, Gordon Fletcher for Ward 5.
Welcome back to the show, good brother.
Thanks for having me, Dion. Really happy to be here.
Yeah, man, lots been going on since the last we talked. But I want to know first off, man, why would I vote for you in this year's election in D.C.?
Yeah, great question. Out of all the candidates, my passion, my experience, my background makes me uniquely equipped to lead Ward 5, such a diverse ward right now and into the future. I was born in Jamaica, grew up in New York, been in D.C. for almost 20 years, about 20 years, and been a three-term ANC Commissioner, chair of the Ward 5 Democrats. So I've had the opportunity to work with so many leaders in Ward 5, so many stakeholders of Ward 5. I've had the opportunity to learn the ward and give to the ward as an ANC Commissioner, as a Ward 5 committee man, as the chair of the Democratic Party. So I'm ready. My passion makes me ready to go on day one. And I want to serve you, and I want to do this together. I want to make sure that your voice is part of the decision-making process, and I want us to have fun all at the same time. We have a unique opportunity in Ward 5 as this is an open seat, so we can build upon the work of other council members and really together as a community take us all to higher levels. And I want to be the council member that does that for all of us together.
Okay, what's your stance on affordable housing in the city?
Yeah, affordable housing, that's a hot topic. It's a very big issue on so many different levels. When we talk about renters, we want to make sure that we're expanding Stay DC, a rental assistance program for those that have been negatively affected due to COVID-19. We want to put more of the burden of that application process not on the applicant, who many times have issues of filling out the application in its entirety, and put some of that burden on the landlord. Right? When it comes to homelessness, we want to expand our housing voucher program. Right now, those individuals that have been evicted from the encampment tents in the Noma Gallaudet community, we're doing a disservice to those individuals, right? Because they're not being placed immediately into housing, into proper housing. So we're creating displacement. And so we have to do things to avoid exacerbating homelessness. There are over 40,000 individuals that are on the housing voucher wait list. We got to fix that. We need to staff it with more people. That way we can get folks in the housing voucher program sooner. We also need to make sure that we're expanding Stay DC to include homeowners. There are many homeowners that have been drastically affected because of COVID-19 that could need and could use some assistance, some financial assistance. So we got to expand Stay DC for homeowners as well. We got to make sure that we are telling developers and advocating, and I would advocate to developers to build more 3 and 4 bedroom apartments. That way seniors can age in place with their families. This is something that I dealt with, I fought for with the Riggs Plaza apartment residents. I helped relocate over 100 senior and native Washingtonians from garden-style apartments to smaller apartments known as the Modern at our place at Fort Totten. While the Modern had nice amenities, it created displacement. Some of the 100 plus seniors and native Washingtonians did not make it to the Modern because their furniture and their family heirlooms couldn't fit. So they rather leave and go elsewhere. And so we also need to expand rent control. Rent control right now in DC has not been expanded since 1976. We don't want to expand it to new buildings, but we want to expand it to newer buildings, to existing buildings. So rent control, expanding, 3 and 4 bedroom apartments, expanding Stay DC, providing for an expansion of the HPAP program as well. That way, more individuals that quote unquote did the right thing, which is there is no real right thing, but they went to college and now they have debt, student loans, and they need help purchasing that home in DC, especially Ward 5. So all of those things is what I want to do when it comes to housing and affordable housing. We have to provide for truly affordable housing. And lastly, we got to make sure that we're providing for housing, affordable housing for our working class residents, teachers, nurses, transportation workers, restaurant industry workers, police officers to increase neighborhood policing. So housing is a big issue that I want to fight for on a lot of different spectrums.
So, what about public safety? What type of initiatives are you guys looking for to upheld for public safety, such as bike lanes, parking versus, you know?
Yeah, bike lanes versus parking spaces. So when it comes to that, I want to have a comprehensive safety approach, right? And so when I think about safety, we're not just talking about crime safety. We're talking about safe streets. To your point about bike lanes and parking spaces, we're talking about making sure tree limbs are cut. We're talking about overall safety, right? So I want to do that by bringing back something called the Orange Hat Patrol. Some remember it as the Red Hats or the Black Hats. And so what I want to do is I want to turn that name into a more and modernize it. I want to turn it into the Ward 5 Safety Public Safety Squad. And public safety will encompass transportation and crime and everything in between. So that way we can ensure that we have safe streets, we have safe roads. I want to make sure that we have increased connectivity for protected bike lanes. I believe in more bike lanes in Ward 5. However, I also want to be sensitive to our senior community, to our disabled community, and to members of our community that utilize parking spaces, whether that's postal workers, whether such as UPS, Amazon even. So we have to make sure that we are providing for that proper balance between protected bike lanes and parking spaces. And I know that I can provide for the proper community engagement from ANC commissioners, civic associations, and residents to make sure we have the proper balance around a very sensitive issue such as bike lanes versus parking spaces. But all of this would come under the Ward 5 Public Safety Squad. And this would be connected to all the various ANCs in Ward 5. And that way, the ANCs would meet and come back together every other month to discuss public safety issues, to discuss traffic safety issues as well. This would help reduce traffic violence, increase traffic safety, help with the installation of speed bumps, speed humps, four-way stop signs. There's a true comprehensive overhaul to our safety system, how we reimagine safety and transportation in Ward 5. And again, all of this will be done through the Ward 5 Public Safety Squad. Thank you.
So, for the people who don't know who Gordon Andrew Fletcher is, give them a little refresher about who you are and what you stand for.
So I stand for unity. I stand for diversity. I stand for inclusion. My tagline, my focus is unity, transparency, and accountability. I want to unify the ward. I also want to make sure I'm being transparent in the decision makings process to make sure that you are involved in that process, that you have a voice in that process, and also you hold me accountable to our promises, accountable to our positions, accountable to what we want to see Ward 5 thrive as in the future. More about me, again, hardworking guy. I resigned from Department of Commerce where I was a grants management specialist, where I was working as a lawyer in the grants management division, focusing on policy. I dedicated my life to community service, to public service, to serving you in Ward 5 as well, as your 3-term ANC Commissioner, as your 2-term chair of the Ward 5 Democrats, position that I assumed after serving as your Ward 5 Democratic Committee man. So I've been serving the ward, serving our city for many years. When I first came to DC at the tender age of 17 to attend American University, my first summer out of my freshman year, I worked at Bernie Elementary in Southeast DC, or help students there see opportunities outside of Ward 7. So I've been giving back to my community in DC and Ward 5 for years. So I want to have the opportunity now to serve you as your next Ward 5 council member. And I know that we can do this work together and have fun doing it all at the same time.
So explain a little bit about right choice voting.
Absolutely. Ranked choice voting is a progressive piece of legislation initiative that has been taking place in different jurisdictions around the country, such as Oregon, such as New York, and other jurisdictions. It's a system where you can literally rank your top 5 candidates 1 to 5, and the top 2 highest vote getters go into what they call instant runoff, and then the third, fourth, and fifth place vote getters, their votes would go proportionally to the first and second candidates. So this would turn into a situation where the winner would receive 50% of the vote. So until a winner receives 50% of the vote, there will be no winner declared in a race. Now, I could see why advocates and proponents of ranked choice voting want to see ranked choice voting turn into legislation in DC. At large independent council member Christina Henderson introduced this legislation under the Voice Amendment Act of 2021. And as the Ward 5 Democrats chairman, I cannot support ranked choice voting or the Voice Amendment Act of 2021 in its current construct due to the fact that we have not done a risk assessment study on vulnerable populations, including seniors. We have to determine if seniors and those living in senior buildings, such as the functionally illiterate, the blind, the disabled, if they also understand ranked choice voting. This is not about insulting anyone's intelligence more so than it is about ensuring that democracy is there for our most stable, reliable, and consistent voting bloc, which are seniors and those living in senior buildings. And so the DC Democratic Party has issued their position, which is in line with my stance around ranked choice voting, which is we cannot support ranked choice voting or the Voice Amendment Act at this time. However, I do support an expansion of the DC Council, which is a part of the Voice Amendment Act, which would expand the council from 13 to 21 council members. I believe that will provide for increased diversity and represent the ever changing demographics of our great city and also our great ward. So, that in a nutshell is what ranked choice voting is all about, and my position on ranked choice voting as the next Ward 5 DC council member.
So what's your stance on getting the vaccine?
Absolutely. The vaccine, that's a very important issue right now within our ward, within our city, within our country. I support vaccinations. I believe it's our best way to get back to our closest state of normalcy. I don't think we'll ever be normal as in pre-pandemic, but the vaccine is a way for us to be around each other safely, to see your loved ones, to see your friends, to get back to work, to get back to in-person learning for our students, for our young people. I'm so happy that vaccinations are now made eligible and available to children even to the age of 5 years old. I think we all have to give Mayor Bowser acknowledgement and kudos on allowing or making sure that DC has one of the highest vaccination rates in our nation. I believe that this is the number one way for us to be safe as a society. So I support it. Now, for those that do not want to get vaccinated, that is your right. That is your choice. That is your decision to make. But I want you to think about your community. I want you to think about your loved ones. I want you to think about your nation and what our president, what so many of our leaders have asked us to do, so many of our role models have asked us to do around getting vaccinated so we all can get back to as close as normalcy as possible. So it's your right, but I hope that you do choose to get vaccinated, those who are on the fence or have not at this point.
So primaries are in June of 2022, correct?
Correct, correct,
So are
correct.
you ready? You got some competition. You got Mr. Orange, and you got a few people leaving the seat, such as Kenyon McDuffie,
Yep.
and then you got our frat brother Rodney Red Grant running for mayor as well. So we got some exposure for for our fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi. So you ready for the primaries?
Absolutely. I was born ready for the primaries. This is something that I've been working my entire life for. They always say, prepare yourself for you don't know when your time will come, but be prepared and ready. And I believe that preparation has met an opportunity. And this is a unique opportunity because just like you said, Councilmember Kenny McDuffie is not seeking reelection. He's done an amazing job as council member. There's some things that I would do differently for sure because I believe every leader has different styles. And so my style would be one would be more grounded, even more grounded in constituent services and responsiveness to the community's needs, to attending civic association meetings, ANC meetings, to be there when the ward needs me to be there in a different way. And again, no disrespect to Councilman McDuffie, but I know that my leadership would just be different. In terms of opponents, I really look at the ward, the residents. I'm running against myself. I'm running for the seat more than anything else than I am running against other individuals. However, I definitely have opponents, formidable opponents. We have two former council members, Councilmember Vincent Orange, Councilmember Harry Thomas Jr., who are both seeking who are both seeking a comeback. And hey, everyone's allowed to run. And so I believe that they want to make their case just like me, and I have no problem with that. I welcome the opportunity because I want to make sure that I'm showing the ward that I have the ability to go up against anyone. To prove to you, the voters, why I would be the best person to lead the ward. Next, we have Faith Gibson Hubbard and Zach Parker, who are also running. Again, both formidable opponents. However, in comparison to both of those opponents, I have the most experience in local governance. As a 3-term ANC Commissioner, chair of the Ward 5 Democrats 2 times, and former Ward 5 committee man, also an educator. I teach at American University. I teach public policy and criminal justice, and also teach negotiations at the law school. So I understand education, understand the importance of it, and I also have a lot of experience in local governance. That makes me the best suited, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many in Ward 5 already, for me to be the next Ward 5 council member. However, I'm excited for this journey. I'm excited about making my case, and I look forward to future forums, debates, and opportunities to show my difference from my opponents and my leadership.
So how can they get in contact with you, Mr. Fletcher?
Oh, absolutely. Great question. You can follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, Gordon for Ward 5. Please reach out to me at gordon@gordonforward5.com. I'm an open book. Reach out to myself or my team, answer any questions, ask for a yard sign, get involved with the campaign, because this is a movement, ladies and gentlemen, a movement that's going to involve young people, older people, new residents, older residents, everyone in between. Because again, Ward 5 is a home of what I believe is the most diverse ward in our amazing city. And I'm ready to be the next Ward 5 council member to lead us all and to work together and build community together to have an even better Ward 5 for all almost 90,000 residents I call Ward 5 home. So please follow me on social media and join our movement. Thank you so much.